Okay, there we go. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for bearing with our technical difficulties this morning. We are live now, so thank you for joining us. Welcome to another edition of United Way for Southeastern Michigan's What's the Word Wednesday, where we share important resources and have vibrant discussions about the topics that matter most to you. My name is Shayla Zimmerman, and today we are wrapping up our Equity Challenge series of What's the Word Wednesday town halls with a special Pride Month town hall focused on LGBTQIA+ health and wellness while navigating the healthcare system. A few reminders for today's discussion. We hope to have time for questions from our audience. Kels is also hoping this will be a very interactive session, so please add your responses and questions in the chat box on Zoom or into the comments section on Facebook. Closed captions are enabled in Zoom and Facebook Live. To turn them on, please click on the Show Captions button at the bottom of your screen. As you may already know, United Way just concluded our 4th annual 21-day equity challenge 2 weeks ago with our virtual community celebration, where we've teamed up with our community partners, including our speaker today. Our community partners helped curate content for this year's challenge. Our identities have a huge impact on the way we navigate the healthcare system, as we learned in our equity challenge this year. And many LGBTQ+ community members do not actively seek out healthcare, have a primary care doctor, or have sufficient healthcare coverage due to inaccessible and harmful healthcare systems and practices. Several organizations, including our speaker today, are working to improve the health and well-being of our LGBTQ+ community. I'm pleased to introduce you to our speaker for today, Kels Cousins. Kels is a social worker, artist, consultant, and founder of Kels Liberatory Creations and Consulting, where they love weaving social justice and art together while discussing topics like art, sexual health, LGBTQ matters, and anti-racism. Their mission is to create a safe space for folks to feel powerful and free to experience expansiveness. Kels's work has been at the intersections of education, social work, and public health for the past 15 years. And in the past 6 years, they've specifically been focused on people living with HIV and the LGBTQ+ community and sexual health. Kels is also a proud member of the queer community, and as someone who lives with multiple chronic illnesses and disabilities, they are a fierce advocate for accessible and equitable healthcare, awareness, education, equity, and inclusion in all spaces. Welcome, Kels. It's so nice to have you here. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It's so weird to hear all of those things. I usually just type them.
Yes. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Yeah, today I'm going to be talking about some harmful societal norms that have impact on the LGBTQ community and healthcare. And I put 2 Qs in there, so we're extra queer today. So I'm really excited to have you all here because this is something that I'm extremely passionate about, that our societal norms really impact healthcare and really everything. So we can go to the next slide. You pretty much have already heard all of this, but this is me. So when you do get the slides, you can remember how amazing I am or something like that. Next. All right, so just a quick definition of societal norms. So these are just common standards within a social group regarding socially acceptable or appropriate behavior, in particular social situations, the breach of which has social consequences. And so in general today, we'll be talking mostly about the society being the US and the norms that we have here. So most of these norms are internalized through socialization. Compliant behavior is normative, so that's normal. And if you violate this behavior, it's stigmatized, and it has social and other, like we're talking about today, health consequences is one of them. The 3 main ones that I'm going to be talking about today, and actually we are going to be talking about, because I do believe in this room that there's probably a lot of knowledge. So we're going to be talking about heteronormativity, the gender binary, and mononormativity. So the gender binary. This is the inaccurate concept that gender is categorized into only two distinct forms, mostly man, woman. I mean, I was just watching something this morning with my daughter where it was girls versus boys. And of course, in my head, I'm going, where would I fall as a non binary person? I can't be part of these groups and competitions that are gendered. So I would love to hear from y'all. What are ways that not having an expansive view of gender that can lead to discrimination, oppression, and or negative health outcomes? So you can put that in the chat. If we're thinking about only that man and woman is the normal, what are some ways that doing that might lead to some negative health outcomes? So while I'm waiting for y'all to put it in the chat, okay, thank you, Kevin. There we go, woohoo. So non-binary erasure, yeah, like we just don't exist. What do we check? And what does that mean for our health outcomes, right? So people can feel that they don't have an exact place to belong. Yeah. When you go somewhere, no matter who you are, right? And you can't check the correct box, what are you? You're othered, or you're not even existing, right? Misunderstanding someone's health needs. So true, Shayla. So if we're only looking at it as if, there's AFAB, so assigned female at birth, and AMAB, so assigned male at birth, and those are our two categories, and we call them men and women, you're going to miss some things that maybe some non-binary, gender fluid, gender expansive, trans men, trans women are feeling, are going through, because you're not asking those right questions. On top of that, yes, Tim, that's literally what I was going to say. That's amazing. Fear of seeking needed healthcare from previous or current discrimination. So that medical mistrust is a real thing. And Steph, yeah, they don't have the right information to support you. Societal violence against others who refuse to conform. These are all super, super important things. So when I go into a doctor's office and I'm filling out the forms, that is my first indication of, am I welcome here? And do they know anything about me and or my community? And so if I'll like write a ton of things in. I'll be like, cross out, put non-binary. I'll be like pansexual, all these different things in here. And we'll talk about this later with mononormativity, but I also have to put an S on the end of partners and stuff like that. So that I can be helped in the way that I know that I need it. But I wasn't always like that. A few years ago, I would have been quiet. People wouldn't have known anything. I would have just let the misgendering happen. Which has a weathering effect, right? So anytime that anybody in any marginalized or historically oppressed community continues to not be recognized, continues to be aggressed against, there's a weathering effect on our mental health and really on our bodies, right? All right, we're going to keep on talking about this. Yes, Kevin, the extra effort needed to find a doctor, a therapist who who doesn't hate queer folks. And that's true. Like the fact that you even have to say that is absolutely ridiculous, right? And not only doesn't hate, but just like knows our needs, right? So not blanket statements saying that all queer people have the same needs, but there should be some cultural competency there, some cultural humility, right? All right, let's go to the next societal norm. So I already mentioned this a little bit, mononormativity. So this is the societal bias which privileges monogamous relationships. The assumption that monogamy is the norm or default with everything else, which includes consensual non-monogamy and polyamorous connections being othered. So everything else is othered. So in the chat, this one's a little different. I want you to think, if you were in a polyamorous relationship structure, what systems might be difficult to navigate? So we're thinking a little outside of the healthcare systems or systems within, but I just want you to think, what systems might be difficult to navigate if you are in a polyamorous relationship structure? So once again, as I'm claiming government benefits like social security, i.e., yes, Aaron, survival benefits, exactly. You might not. So to give some examples, my partner, one of my partners, is married and has a nesting partner. Between the two of them, they can share different benefits, even let's say insurance. But since I am not legally married, I don't get anything from that. And well, personally, I don't want anything, but I'm also a disabled individual. So at some point, that might play into all of this. So when we're talking about healthcare and insurance and affordability and stuff like that, being in a polyamorous relationship can be kind of well, the polyamorous relationship itself is not the gatekeeping, but we have gatekeeping in our society that does not allow those polyamorous relationships or people to get all of the same government benefits. What else? I think I had mentioned that when I go anywhere, the options are divorced, widowed, married, dating, and I'm like, I will check all of them except for widowed, but I am divorced, I am married, or in a relationship that would look like marriage but not governmentally. I am dating, all of these different things. And really, to be honest, when we're talking about health, the big thing is that they need to know that there's more than one person interacting with me, maybe sexually and etc. So I have to keep on clicking back onto this chat to be able to see things and still be able to see everything else. So ability. Oh, yes. Thank you, everybody. Here we go. Oh, they all came out at once. They were not there before. Hey. Okay. So we have therapists might not understand. Oh my gosh, that's a huge one. And that the shame that is kind of on, or the stigma that's kind of put on by therapist or any provider, like when you say it, you can kind of see their tone change, or sometimes it's I don't quite understand, so then you also have to educate your providers. But sometimes it's like, you are judging me right now, and I need you to be ready for that. Even if you are judging me, I need you to be ready so that I can't see it. External family systems, legal protections, yes, childcare, education. Speaking of childcare, me and all my partners in Metamors have children, and there's things about being polyamorous that we have to be careful with, as far as even being out and polyamorous, because for instance, one of my partner's exes, there could be a lot of like child custody stuff wrapped up into that. So we have that fear of losing our children because of some of this stuff. Yes, privileges of when the house is in the hospital, schools. Yes, the rights of the non-married partners, pickup privileges. Oh my goodness. I am so sorry. People are trying to call me. I should have turned all of that off, but we are having a emergency in my family. So if I'm clicking through stuff, just bear with me. Yeah, the ability to visit people in the hospital, relationship hierarchy. That is amazing, Kevin. And I'm not going to fully go into that, but definitely look that one up. Tax benefits, all of these are absolutely wonderful. And the thing is that when you think about it, it's like, oh, duh, all of that is happening in this world. But most people don't think about us. Most people don't think about polyamorous folk, right? When you're making those intake forms, an easy way to fix that is to put parentheses S. But an easy way, I don't like to be othered, but an easy way to fix it is to just have a write-in, right? And that way you're able to talk a little bit more to who that person is. And just by doing that, I know, oh my goodness, they're aware that this is a thing, that we exist, and this might be a safer or at least more inclusive spot for me. An example that I wanted to give really quick is I went in to get prescribed PrEP. So this is something that you can take once a day to reduce the probability by 98% of becoming someone who's living with HIV. And I went in and my provider looked at me and was like, well, all I see is two women having sex with each other. And I said, whoa, okay, first of all, I'm non-binary. Who you're talking about is a trans man. So there's no women involved in this. And we are polyamorous. So there are more than one of us having in the sexness, right? So I do need that protection because it's something that I can control. But none of that was on this provider's mind. And so I had to do a lot of education, which I'm in a place where I can do that. But one, not everybody has all the information. And two, not everybody feels comfortable doing it. A lot, like I said, many years ago, I would have been shut down. I'd have been like, you're right, two women. All right, bye-bye. So these are things that have like direct impact on health. All right, one more norm that we're going to talk about. Oh, I think we skipped one. Mono, there should have been a heteronormative, and I think it was before the binary. Unless it didn't get put in there. So one more in the, it is not there. Okay, well, we're going to talk about heteronormativity. And so this is the assumption that a relationship or the norm for a relationship is between a binary construct of man and woman. So I want us to think about all the different ways that this shows up in your life. So where do we see heteronormativity in the way that we talk, in the way that maybe think about children and the way that they're socialized as they grow up. You can think about healthcare as well, that heteronormativity. And if you want to, if you're one of those who is going against the norm in your life, share some examples of ways that you've experienced that heteronormativity that might have been problematic. So one example, and this one's funny for me, I was at an HIV conference in Chicago, and my colleague, who is an AMAB, so assigned male at birth male, was traveling with me, and everybody, everywhere we were going, thought that we were partners. And even to the point where he got like stuck on the whatever they call the subway, I don't know, sorry, metro, whatever. And the lady was like, your husband's stuck. And I'm like, I don't even know what you're talking about. And so it didn't even click to me that it was my colleague that was stuck. Yeah, Kevin, are you two sisters? You guys look like such great friends. And they were roommates. Yeah, just great friends. That happens a lot. Small examples, but lack of cards to purchase in store. Yes, we are not represented, right? If you're outside of that heteronormativity or even the binary, you can't do that. And always being asked in the restaurant if it should be split, that's such a silly quote unquote thing, but like the waiters and waitresses, and even just there, the way that I just talked about it, there's not like a gender neutral. So the gender neutral is the kind of male version of things, right? So that is right there, kind of a binary thing. So it's but they look at us and just like, do we want to split this? Who's taking it? But if it were male and female or passing, right, immediately goes to the male, which is a whole nother norm if we want to talk about that. What are some other way heteronormativity? This same colleague actually was with his partner trying to house hunt or find their house that they wanted to live in. And the realtors kept on saying, so which one of you is going to live here? And then they'd be like, both. And they're like, oh, so we need at least 2 rooms, right? And they're like, no, we sleep in the same room. So just that, like, it is completely normal for that to happen. Yeah, let's just put the bill in the middle. Exactly. Thank you. Other things. So my daughter was at school, and this is more about the binary, but she's at school and the teacher says, okay, girls line up on the wall, boys pick up the balls because they had been playing in the gym. And my daughter, who identifies as a girl, but knows that I'm non-binary, raised her hand and was like, where do the non-binaries go? Which is really funny to me, that the 7-year-old was like, where are the non-binaries? And the teacher just stared at her and was like, Brooklyn, just get on the wall. And later she brought it up to me as if she were the problem. And I just said, well, research says that we shouldn't be doing, like, dividing anything by gender. And so it would be better if you'd have said, can A through M line up on the wall and this to this, because I don't remember what's after M, go get the balls. And the teacher just looked at me like, that wasn't the point I was trying to make. But like, yeah, that's the binary, right? So assumptions, you're cheating if you're in a hetero relationship and one of you is pan. Oh my gosh, let's not even talk about the stigma for being pansexual, right? So pansexuals are quote unquote stigmatized or known for, stigmatized is not the quote, known is the quote unquote, for, just wanting to sleep with everybody, right? No, it just means, so pansexual just means that you are attracted, whether it's sexually, romantically, to people regardless of their gender. So that's not necessarily a determining factor. Shopping for clothes and getting weird looks for being in the opposite gender side of the store. Oh my goodness. Yes. People will say, well, who are you shopping for? I'm like, myself. Thank you very much. So that's once again a binary thing. And when we think of some of the heteronormativity, my daughter, once again, playing with Barbies. She's like, I need more Ken dolls for the Barbies. Baby girl, no, you don't. Anybody can be in a relationship. Now she's got some polyamorous relationships happening with her Barbies. But I was talking about that in front of one of my friends because there was a play date. And the friend looked at me and said, I think that they're too young to know these things. And I was like, too young to know that 2 women or non-binary or whatever, whoever the people are, and it can be 2 or more, I wasn't even going there, can be in love with and have relations with each other. So it's appropriate to talk about being heterosexual, but it's not appropriate to talk about homosexuality, pansexuality, any of those other things until they're way older, when they can understand that, even though it should all be understood because it's all valid and it's all real. And when we talk about it in the healthcare setting, so we can go to the next slide, I think, and we talk about the impact on healthcare. So we talked a little bit about it already with the binary and some of the intakes forms and stuff like that, but I want y'all to look at all of these different questions. So how can these societal norms impact health outcomes? What are small changes we can make in society to address this gap in services? And what can healthcare providers do to improve health outcomes for folks stigmatized due to these norms? So I don't care which one you answer, but throw some answers in the chat. They all kind of go together. And let's see. Thank you, Taylor, for putting some of those healthcare terms up there, which is wonderful. This combo example is a good reminder that if we are all free of heteronormativity, we'd all have more freedom to express ourselves and navigate systems that hurt us all. Yeah. Yeah. These norms are not just hurting the queer community or the polyamorous community. They're hurting all of us, just like racism doesn't just hurt racialized bodies or people who are feeling kind of the impacts of the oppression. It is hurting all of us. If we can be more inclusive, it helps everyone. When we talk about gender affirming care means for any gender. It's just that we don't gender affirming care trans and non-binary folks. Love is love no matter what age. Children can understand that. Yes. And I am so glad that she gets some things even at 7. We need to educate ourselves and listen to others' lived experiences. Yeah, I think that's so important. So educate first, Google the stuff that you can Google, big, huge proponent of that, and then ask people, right? So I don't know if you've learned anything new just from hearing me give my examples of my life. But I would say in general, most people, when I bring up being polyamorous or even non-binary, there's a lot of like blank faces. So sometimes it's just that awareness that like we exist and have some other things going on in our life. If our providers were more understanding of our identities, so yeah, even in the disabled community, right, we would feel less shame around health and take care of our health more. Yes. I have a partner who hasn't gone to the gynecologist for 10 years because it's for women. It's for women. There's women everywhere on all the posters and everything like that. And there's so much shame and stigma around walking in there as a man, but needing somebody to look at those parts, right? 10 years. But if we were more inclusive, that wouldn't be a thing. Inclusive, thank you, inclusive intake forms that allow spaces for different family members of different genders and supports families of choice. That's a whole other thing, right? So like when we talk about chosen family, a lot of us in the literally queer family, but queer community have chosen family who are our family, period. They're our family. But if we're putting down like emergency contact or next of kin, what does that mean? What does that look like? Specifically talking more inclusive sexual histories. So yes, I actually lead a whole talk on providing comprehensive and inclusive sexual health histories. And I think, Hope, you've gone to that. And it's amazing, you know, on top of all these things, we can think of like sexual preferences and kink communities and all of those different things. And it's really important that our medical providers know and are aware that these are things that can impact our health. With societal norms, there can be a lack of effective treatment options for people of different identities. Yeah, completely. There's also lack of accessibility for whether it's gender affirming surgery or care. There's a lot of gatekeeping around it, this idea that like doctors or therapists know better than you do for your health. And then you just feel like infantilized. That's a hard word. Because you're not able to make those choices for yourself. You need to get 2 letters and they have to approve these things just for you to get the healthcare that you need and want. So I super appreciate all of these addresses. Oh, there's addresses. I'm just reading one of the things in the chat that says address. And so we can reach out to our local healthcare systems. Yes, write things in, even if you don't have to check the boxes for non-binary, even if you can fit into man, woman, heterosexual, blah, 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 blah. right on there that you need that. And yes, so these are just a few, literally just a few. Hope, write it into the into the chat, your practice as well. Just a very few people who are LGBTQ focused providers in Southeast Michigan. I put just a few, screenshot this, whatever. These are great ones. I've also included a list of specifically mental health therapists, because that's more where I'm heading to. Taylor included it there. And these are great places even to start. So if you were to reach out to some of them or reach out to me and I can help find, because Southeast Michigan is really huge, right? Find a place more in your area or for your specific needs, because each one kind of has their own focus. And then this is me. Say hi, hire me for trainings, all of those different things. Yes, and harm reduction affirming services, Ashley, that's a whole nother topic. And now I think we're going to go into the question. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Kels. I don't know if we have time necessarily, but I haven't seen any questions in the chat. I wanted to make sure that you were able to share all of this great knowledge with us and your experiences. So thank you so much for everything you've shared with us today. Truly impactful. I've learned a lot. I hope our audience has too. So thank you, Kels. I think we're going to close out now. Thank you, everyone that was able to spend a couple extra minutes with us to soak in all of this great information.
Wonderful. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, Kels. So as a reminder for anyone in our community who may be experiencing a need, our 211 helpline remains available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. This includes resources like food, utility assistance, and much more. We do maintain a running list of services and resources, and you can look any of those up in your area by using our 211 resource database at unitedwaysem.org/211. And if you're a podcast fan, I'd encourage you to check out Washtenaw United's weekly radio segment on WEMU. This partnership features the leaders and organizations who are creating opportunity and promoting equity in Washtenaw County. We recently had Joe Halsh, president of the Jim Toy Community Center, share the importance of sharing awareness of diverse identities of LGBTQIA+ people. And stay tuned for more What's the Word Wednesday town halls in July, including a disability activism panel on July 10th. So stay updated on our upcoming topics and watch replays of previous town halls. Please visit unitedwaysem.org/virtual town halls. Thank you so much, everyone. Stay cool and continue to live united.